Too bad this movie wasn't released earlier this year. Because then we would have gotten Palm Springs in the spring. Palm Springs stars Andy Samberg as Nyles, a carefree young man who's attending the wedding of a friend of his girlfriend's. There he meets the bride's sister Sarah, played by Cristin Millioti, and they hook up. The next morning, they wake up to it being the same day, and the same events are playing out again in the same order. And it's discovered they're both in an infinite time loop that they seemingly can't escape. This was just released on Hulu this weekend, and unlike most of the other movies released since March, this was actually always intended for a streaming release. How about that? Hulu and Neon picked it up after it did well at Sundance earlier this year, and it was directed by Max Barbakow, and this is his feature debut. And it is an awesome way to kick off his directing career because this is such a great movie. I will say right up front, this is going to get a lot of comparisons to Groundhog Day, and I can see how that can be a turnoff for some people, especially since now we've seen this how many times? Edge of Tomorrow, Source Code, the Happy Death Day movies. But I will say, even though all those movies are founded on the same basic premise, they all took wildly different approaches to tackling that premise. As does this movie. While Groundhog Day has romantic comedy elements, this leans in much heavier to that aspect, especially since this focuses on more than one person in the time loop, which we always don't see. I found a couple of things regarding the romance to be a little obvious. Like at the beginning they go on about how they're going to keep things platonic, and it's like, that's not happening. Plus, there's a discussion they have earlier on in the movie, which comes up multiple times. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but these discussions end up playing a part later on. And the way it does, you can pretty much see it coming a mile away. But honestly, those were my only major criticisms. Otherwise, this was fantastic. A lot of its strengths rely on the chemistry between Andy Samberg and Cristin Millioti, because they are both just wonderful together. We see Millioti getting used to the time loop in the first act, and she's scared and in denial about it, while Samberg's pretty casual about everything, and they should rightfully show this. But they don't drag it out for too long and turn it into this opposites attract style of romantic comedy. Once she gets used to it, they just start to have so much fun together. They run off to different parts of town on some days, they goof around, get some good laughs. Those were some of the highlights for me, just because they played off each other so well. They felt so natural together, and their conversations were so casual that you take such an active investment in every move they make. I found myself really hoping in every scene that things would work out for them in the end. And that's partially due to some great writing, but also thanks to the performances. Samberg is essentially playing himself. He's goofy, carefree, making sex jokes. It's not too far off from what we've seen from him on SNL, The Lonely Island, anything else he's been in. But it works here. The fact that the character's so laid back is a perfect fit for him. He is hilarious, and I was bursting out laughing from quite a few things he was saying. And Cristin Millioti, I know she was in The Wolf of Wall Street before this, and I have seen that, but I haven't seen anything else that she's been in. So this was the first time I'm seeing her in a prominent role, and she is phenomenal. Both actors were great, but she was easily my favorite performance. And I think it's because between the two, she's given the heavier material. A big theme in this movie, like with some of the other time loop movies, is coming to terms with your past and some of the bad decisions you've made. You think of how you can do better and how you can stop negatively affecting your friends and loved ones. Since this takes place on the day of her sister's wedding, we see this a lot through the interactions between her and her family members. And it's really sweet and well done. Most of the other characters will feel like throwaway characters, and this mainly applies to anyone else at the wedding. Since the day resets, any development they have on a good day gets erased. So they only have so much of an arc, if you can even call it that. It relies heavily on how Andy Samberg and Cristin Millioti treat them so that we see their true colors. I could see some people taking an issue with the lack of character development for everyone else, but if you liked Groundhog Day or any of those other time loop movies, this is unfortunately just what happens with all these side characters. Like, in all of them, it just happens. So if you like those other movies and you excused it for them, you're gonna have to do the same here. It's the same scenario. The only other character this doesn't apply to is J.K. Simmons, who we find out is also stuck in this time loop. He's not in the movie a lot, but when he is just a bright spot. If you liked him in the Spider-Man movies or in Whiplash, this is essentially a variation on those sort of characters. Angry, abrasive, antagonistic. Hey, an alliteration. How about that? But you do see more of the humane side to him as well. There's a nice balance as far as that goes. And he is just really funny, and he made for a nice addition to this. This was just a wonderful movie. It does borrow from the Groundhog Day concept, which may wear some people out because this has been done in other movies before. But if you can get past it, it's a refreshingly original take on the concept. It's very funny, incredibly sweet. The performances from Andy Samberg, Cristin Millioti, and J.K. Simmons were all great. And it's well written. You find yourself actively rooting for all these characters. And it's a joy to watch. It's easily one of my favorite movies of the year so far, and I highly recommend it. Palm Springs gets a 9 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Palm Springs, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you find it funny, and which of the other time loop movies do you enjoy? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.